She was known for her radiant smile, quiet confidence, and unshakable bond with one of known nature's most intelligent predators. But in under 2 minutes, the crowd's applause turned to screams, and the water that shimmered with beauty was stained with tragedy. This is the chilling story of Jessica Radcliffe, a respected orca trainer whose final performance left more questions than answers. If you're captivated by the untamed power of the animal world, by true stories where beauty and danger collide, then make sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and turn on the notification bell. Here, we don't just tell stories, we explore the raw, unpredictable reality of nature. Now, brace yourself, because what you're about to hear will stay with you long after the screen fades to black. Jessica Radcliffe had dedicated her life to the ocean, long before she ever set foot inside a marine park. As a child growing up near the rugged coastline of Oregon, she would spend hours watching the waves roll in, dreaming of the creatures that lived beneath them. While other kids played with dolls or video games, Jessica collected marine life books and kept journals filled with sketches of whales, dolphins, and sea turtles. But it was the orca, the so-called killer whale, that captivated her more than anything else. She didn't see a monster. She saw mystery, intelligence, emotion, even soul. At the age of 12, she watched a documentary that changed everything. It showed orcas communicating through clicks and whistles, grieving the loss of family members, and displaying levels of empathy once thought to be uniquely human. That day, Jessica told her parents she would work with orcas someday, not as a performer, but as a partner. Her passion didn't fade, it deepened. She earned top grades through high school and was accepted into a prestigious marine biology program at the University of California, San Diego. There, she studied animal behavior, psychology, and advanced aquatic systems. She spent summers volunteering at rescue centers and interning with marine research organizations, often working long hours with minimal pay, just to be close to the animals she adored. Jessica didn't chase fame or spotlight. Her dream was simple: to understand these creatures better and bridge the gap between human and animal through compassion and respect. After graduation, her work caught the attention of OceanLand Marine Park, a privately run marine facility known for its immersive shows and research programs. They offered her a full-time position as a junior trainer. She accepted immediately, packed up her life, and moved to the park's coastal compound. The job was demanding: early mornings, cold dives, rigorous safety drills. But Jessica thrived. She treated every animal as an individual, with moods, memories, and preferences. While some trainers focused on routines and performances, Jessica focused on relationships. She memorized the vocal patterns of each orca, learned their feeding habits, and even studied their nonverbal cues like eye movement and tail posture. Within just a few years, her dedication paid off. She was promoted to senior trainer and assigned to work with one of the park's most iconic orcas, Kait. Kait was no ordinary whale. At over 20 feet long and weighing nearly 6,000 kilograms, she was a commanding presence in the pool. But what set Kait apart wasn't her size, it was her mind. Trainers said she could detect emotion in people, that she responded not just to signals, but to the intention behind them. She would change her behavior based on her handler's tone, and she could remember complex routines months after last practicing them. The bond between Jessica and Kait formed quickly. They weren't just trainer and animal, they were partners. Jessica spent countless hours with Kait, both in and out of scheduled sessions. She would enter the pool not as a commander, but as a guest in Kait's world. Over time, their trust deepened. Kait responded to Jessica with uncanny precision. She'd follow subtle cues, anticipate movements, and perform with fluid grace. Some staff said Kait even looked for Jessica when she wasn't around, refusing to engage with others until her preferred trainer returned. To the public, their performances were breathtaking. Kait would leap through the air with Jessica balanced confidently on her back. The crowd would erupt as the two danced in water, one human, one giant predator, moving in perfect harmony. Visitors called it magical, staff called it a miracle. And Jessica? She called it trust. Still, behind every performance was a silent acknowledgement. Orcas, for all their beauty, are still wild, still powerful, still unpredictable, and that truth would one day surface in the most heartbreaking way imaginable. Because trust in the animal world is a fragile thing. On the hot afternoon of October 6th, OceanLand's most popular show, Ocean Pulse, was packed. Families filled the stands, kids held dripping cones of cotton candy, and camera phones were everywhere. Jessica stood at the pool's edge, waving to fans. Kait surfaced beside her, water rolling off her slick skin as she responded to Jessica's subtle gestures. The first half of the performance was flawless. Kait followed every cue, twisting, diving, rising up on command. Jessica smiled confidently, high-fiving a fellow trainer before stepping onto Kait's back for their signature finale. The music swelled, the crowd leaned forward, and then Kait paused. It was a hesitation so brief, most people missed it. Jessica gave the signal again. Kait stayed still. Jessica laughed softly and gave a more exaggerated gesture, this time with a verbal cue. That's when Kait dove suddenly, vanishing beneath the surface. For a moment, the audience thought it was a clever stunt. Jessica stood at the edge, waiting. But Kait didn't resurface where she was supposed to. She shot upward, right beneath Jessica, launching her several feet into the air. The crowd gasped. Jessica plunged back into the water. Still, many assumed it was part of the show. Then Kait reappeared and grabbed Jessica by the torso. What happened next is difficult to describe. Kait dragged Jessica underwater with terrifying speed. A few bubbles, then nothing. Seconds passed, then a full minute. Panic began to ripple through the stands. Backup trainers rushed toward the water, calling Kait, using acoustic signals, banging the emergency chime. No response. Then a dark swirl beneath the surface. And something else, the faint outline of Jessica's body, limp, floating upward. The water began to tint red. Guests screamed. Security rushed to usher people out. Children cried as parents covered their eyes and ears. Cameras that once captured playful tricks were now recording horror. When rescue divers retrieved Jessica's body 6 minutes later, her wetsuit was shredded. Massive contusions marked her ribs and abdomen. She wasn't breathing. Medics performed CPR on the pool deck for over 10 minutes, but it was too late. Jessica Radcliffe was pronounced dead at the scene. The official report said the cause was traumatic drowning with multiple internal injuries. Kait, the orca Jessica had trusted for nearly a decade, was responsible, but no one could explain why. The incident sparked an immediate shutdown of all shows at OceanLand. Kait was placed into seclusion. The staff, once proud of their performances, now wore blank expressions of shock and grief. But as the park fell silent, the public began asking questions. How could a well-trained orca turn violent without warning? Was this a tragic accident, or something that had been building for years? Experts offered several theories. The first? Miscommunication. Orcas rely heavily on body language. A single misread hand signal could trigger confusion, or even a defensive response. Jessica might have given an unintentional cue that Kait misinterpreted, perhaps as a signal of dominance or even aggression. Another theory focused on captivity-induced stress. Orcas in the wild swim up to 100 miles a day, hunt live prey, and live in complex social groups. In captivity, they are confined to tanks, perform for food, and interact with humans more than their own kind. Over time, this can lead to what some call zoochosis, a state of depression and aggression seen in many captive animals. Perhaps Kait, after years of routines and repetitive stimulation, simply snapped. A third theory suggested medical issues. Orcas, like humans, can suffer from chronic pain. A hidden injury or undetected illness may have caused irritation or confusion. Kait might have been lashing out, not from rage, but from suffering. But no theory fully explained the violence of the attack. Kait had never shown aggression toward trainers. She had been labeled safe. She had performed that same routine hundreds of times. Jessica's death mirrored a tragedy the world hadn't seen since 2010, when SeaWorld trainer Dawn Brancheau was killed by an orca named Tilikum. That case prompted global debate about marine parks and the ethics of orca captivity. Documentaries like Blackfish pulled back the curtain on the emotional toll captivity takes on orcas, and the risks faced by their trainers. But even after the world turned its eyes, accidents kept happening. Jessica's story, whether cautionary, tragic, or something darker, was a reminder that nature doesn't always obey rules. No matter how many hours are spent training, no matter how strong the bond, instinct can surface without warning. In the days following her death, memorials were held outside OceanLand. Visitors left candles, handwritten notes, and stuffed animals along the park's entrance. A marine biology scholarship was created in Jessica's name, funded by friends, family, and former colleagues. Meanwhile, activists called for Kait's release. "She doesn't belong in a tank," one protester said. Neither did Jessica. But officials argued that Kait, having spent nearly her entire life in captivity, would not survive in the wild. Today, Kait remains in isolation. Some say she hasn't been the same. Trainers report she floats alone for hours, ignoring commands, refusing food. Others claim she's simply unpredictable, no longer fit for performance or contact. Whether or not she remembers what happened that day is a question only nature can answer. The story of Jessica Radcliffe may never be fully understood. No official footage has ever been released. No public trial has been held. Some say the park buried the truth to protect its reputation. Others say there's nothing more to explain. It was a freak accident, a tragic convergence of trust and instinct. But every time an orca leaps through the air in front of an audience, some wonder, could it happen again? Was Jessica a victim of chance, or of a system that puts showmanship above safety? And if a creature as intelligent, as seemingly loyal as Kait can turn, what does that say about the thin line we walk when we seek to tame the wild? Tell us what you believe. Was this a tragedy no one could have seen coming? Or a disaster we chose not to prevent? Let us know in the comments. And if this story moved you, hit like, share, and subscribe to Animal Attacks TV, where the wild gets real.